This is just a short video on that 11K RCA that I picked up a few days ago, 4-hour round trip. I recapped it, replaced all the resistors. I still haven't got any sound reproduced out of it, but I decided to work on the electronic tuning apparatus on this. Of course, it has a set of instructions to tell you how to adjust everything. Some of us, it takes three times to read it through to make sure we know exactly what we're doing here. I mean, of course, obviously there's a lot of radios that we get that we just it's pretty much fly by wire working on it. But after much wrangling and getting this electronic tuning set up, go ahead and turn this thing on here. It's already in the electric tuning mode. You turn the switch all the way to the right and you can manually tune it by hand. When you switch it over to the electric mode, it pretty much locks it. There's a little gear, and if you can see it or not, that pretty much locks that mechanism. You can see it moving back and forth. That's manual. There it is, locked in for electric tuning. Each one of the presets has a wiring that goes back to this disc that has slots in it. And if you can see that slot there or not. And there's a special alignment tool that fortunately came with it that was laying on top of the chassis when I bought the radio. So that is what you use to make the adjustments on where you want the stops. And there you got your reversing switch mechanism, which reverses when it gets to each side of the dial itself. So what I'm going to do here, you see the motor, and there's a set of contacts there, and all those contacts do is whenever the motor is in operational mode, it basically just blanks out the volume and the automatic volume control, so you don't have a bunch of static and noise as you're tuning across a bunch of stations. Okay, as I hit the first preset, you see it's already set in place. Get to the end of the stop. Where the first preset is at is where it stops. That one there is not too far off from the other one. Go here. I still have to do adjustment on the reversing switch to get it stopped on the very ends of the dial, but it's pretty close. Doesn't take very much adjustment to move it quite a ways. Stops right there. The action's pretty smooth. One thing I did learn is that whenever I had this thing apart and I was greasing up the gears on it with some bearing grease, that was actually a very bad thing to do. It was just thick enough, and this motor really doesn't have a lot of torque to it, even though it's got a gear reduction on it. And there you see there, it stops there. If I go up here, you can see the action of the motor, how this thing is being driven. It works pretty smooth. I had to take the motor apart, clean it up, and re-oil it. As you see there, works pretty smooth. You got the action of the, see if I can get this thing to, so when it hits the stop on the, Hit the reverse switch, comes back over. You can see the action. Enough playing. I got to get back to see if I can maybe do alignment and get the get this thing to start singing again. But that's where I'm at. I've got the volume switch. I've got to take it apart. It's real scratchy. Got to put some D5 fader cleaner on it to get that back working, and we'll take it from there. And hopefully the next video I'll make will have this thing singing and with the action of the electronic tuning.